Can you please take a look at this picture for me?
Wow.
Okay, so this is a snap allegedly taken by daycare staff of a 4-year-old who was duct taped to her seat. And she didn't just post the picture. She actually had a caption that read, "Thought I was playing." The child's mom didn't even know that this happened. The Department of Child and Family Services saw the picture and they sent it to the child's mother. Needless to say, the parents are outraged and they want justice.
I wish I could say it was atypical, but as a civil rights lawyer, I have seen this happen more times than you can imagine. And I don't think people realize the harm that it does to a child to be duct taped to a chair.
Right. Absolutely.
So you're talking about possible physical injuries,
emotional,
the trauma of being taped, the humiliation, and the message that that sends to a child. So when I go into that classroom as a kid, what I associate with something that's supposed to be positive is something very negative.
A place that's supposed to be nurturing and comfortable and safe becomes, well, they believe this, so now they have to make sense. I'm duct taped to a chair. This is nurturing and safe. Like, they have to create a context that makes sense because mom dropped me off here, so it must be okay. And now you take that kid into adulthood and you wonder why they have troubles with love and connectedness and trust.
Right, exactly.
And this is the early part of the developmental phase where that bond, that belief that others are there to care for you, that's the time that it's being established. And so when something like this happens, even if it's just once, the potential trauma that it could incur to that child and all of the developments that follow is enormous.
There are 15 million children under the age of 6 in daycare, and it's estimated that 0.3% of care providers, so that amounts to about 1,500 providers, are actively abusing children. The most common age victim is 0 to 3, which is when that imprinting happens that takes a lifetime to undo.
I'm glad, Christy, you said the word abusing, because that is, no doubt about it, unequivocally child abuse. And if you do that as a parent, if you do that as a teacher, you can be criminally charged for child endangerment, for child abuse. And teachers need to know that, parents need to know that, caregivers need to know that that's a form of physical restraint that is illegal.
Yes.
It is completely illegal. And if you're a parent and you have a child in daycare, talk to that daycare provider about their disciplinary policies.
Go to the Better Business Bureau, check out the daycare, ask other parents what their experience was, check their drawers for duct tape.
Yeah, I know, right? And I think we do need to mention the fact that most people who work at daycares, they are loving and caring and conscientious, but we do hear these horror stories. And unfortunately, even when parents do their due diligence, like they ask about background checks, because ideally, anytime someone's going to be alone with your child, whether it's the owner, the bus driver, the janitor, whomever, you should ideally get a background check. But even when you do your due diligence and you do everything right, unfortunately, these things can still happen.
Part of the problem, of course, is that there's been a lot of research that's been done on the quality of daycare. They measure that with child to caregiver ratio, the training of the caregiver. And these are some of the problems. And so I think when parents are trying to do their due diligence, they do the background check, they make sure that there's good reputation among the community, but sometimes you don't know how many children are actually housed there and what the actual level of training that caregiver has given. And there's different recommended levels of ratios depending on the age of the child. So obviously the younger the child, the smaller the ratio should be. If the child is under the age of 2, it should be no more than 1 adult to 3 children. And we don't see that very often in the daycares that we have.
Well, so don't be that this got posted. And let's give a lot of credit to Child Protective Services for seeing the picture and then alerting the parents. So hopefully this doesn't happen to any other child, not only in that daycare center, but other daycare providers. If you're watching, and hopefully you're watching us, take note. Do not do this. This is not an appropriate way to discipline a child.
I agree. So stick with your instincts. If something says get your child out of there, get your child out of there, and don't be afraid to do pop-up visits. Or have a daycare where there are video cameras.